And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Picture this. You're watching daytime TV, the view is on, and the usual suspects are lined up at the table, armed with coffee mugs and woke talking points. But today, something's off. The smug looks are still there. The condescension is in full swing. But then enters Bill Maher. And the next 30 minutes? Pure carnage. No yelling, no chaos, just calm, cold logic. Bill Maher, the man the far left once loved, just dropped a truth bomb so massive it left Whoopi Goldberg stunned, silent, and scrambling. This wasn't a debate, it was a public intellectual dissection. Maher didn't just disagree with Whoopi, he exposed her calmly, brutally, and with that signature smirk that says, "I came prepared." So what exactly did Whoopi say that made Bill strike back? How did this exchange go from awkward to absolutely legendary? And why is the internet calling this Maher's greatest takedown yet? Let's break it down. Before we get into the good stuff, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe if you're tired of the echo chamber media circus, because today, we're watching it collapse in real time.
To get past this endless, unforgiving, zero-tolerance mindset bent on punishing and disappearing anyone caught saying the wrong thing, the right response to speech you don't like is more speech.
It was supposed to be just another hot topic debate on The View, a little political drama, a sprinkle of outrage, and the usual virtue signaling all wrapped up in daytime television's favorite echo chamber. But this time? Oh, this time was different. The second Bill Maher opened his mouth, you could feel the energy shift. His tone, calm, his delivery, surgical, his message, devastating. Maher dared to do what few guests ever do on that stage. He challenged the narrative. He made a bold, factual observation that working class black Americans, like most Americans, care more about putting food on the table, paying their rent, and yes, being safe when they call 911 than indulging elite white liberals' obsession with endless apologies and identity theater. He was talking kitchen table issues, real problems, real lives. But Whoopi Goldberg, she wasn't having it. In classic Whoopi fashion, righteous, unfiltered, and completely off base, she launched into one of her infamous tangents. Instead of responding to the point, she veered into this baffling detour about a former prosecutor who allegedly had all the solutions for the working class, but somehow just didn't get the votes. Huh? It was one of those moments where you could almost see the entire audience blink in confusion. Even the co-hosts looked puzzled, like they were trying to locate the logic GPS, and it had just lost signal. But Bill Maher, he didn't flinch. He let her finish, calmly waited through the applause cue that never really came, and then, boom, he dropped the verbal sledgehammer with the kind of poise only Maher can deliver. It's not that I've gotten old, it's that your ideas are stupid. Oof, mic drop.
And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
The audience? Audible gasps, nervous laughter, but also undeniable agreement. You could feel it, that awkward but electric moment when someone finally says what everyone's been thinking, but no one's had the guts to say out loud. And the look on Whoopi's face? Shook. She wasn't used to this. She's used to steamrolling guests, not being stopped cold by someone who comes armed with facts, context, and enough backbone to stand his ground on live TV. But Maher, he's built different. This wasn't just a disagreement, this was a full-on ideological takedown, delivered with a smirk, some stats, and a masterclass in restraint. Because while Whoopi tried to wrap herself in moral superiority and historical references that didn't connect, Maher kept it simple. People are tired of crime, of economic struggle, of performative outrage. And most of all, they're tired of being told by TV hosts how to feel about problems they live with every single day. So when Bill said what he said, it wasn't just a clapback, it was a reality check. And for The View, it was the beginning of a very, very long segment. If the first blow from Maher shook the table, what happened next flipped it completely. The moment Charlemagne the God dared to bring up what everyone was thinking, the not-so-subtle hypocrisy surrounding President Biden's pardon of his own son Hunter, things got uncomfortable real quick. Charlemagne, known for being direct, wasn't even being aggressive. He just calmly questioned the contradiction of Biden, claiming no one is above the law, and then, surprise, handing out a pardon like it was a Thanksgiving dinner roll. Fair question, right?
Criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time, and, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that.
But oh no, not on Whoopi's watch. Whoopi Goldberg practically lunged across the conversation like a presidential bodyguard with a mission. She interrupted, flustered, hand raised, voice raised higher.
I'm gonna stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed his mind.
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a
No,
sudden?
I'm gonna tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over.
I'm gonna stop you right there, because we don't know that it was a lie. The room went silent. Charlemagne blinked. The crowd looked stunned. The producers probably hit the panic button under the table. Because let's be real, we do know it was a lie. We have video of Biden saying no one is above the law, and we have sound bites, we have press conferences. Heck, by this point, there are probably hieroglyphics in ancient caves somewhere showing Biden making that very promise.
This nation was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law.
And yet here's Whoopi, shoveling out a level of gaslighting so intense it could warm a small village in winter.
So I'm just gonna follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that
They're
the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. They don't have to do.
Bill Maher didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need theatrics. He simply adjusted his jacket, looked over calmly, and began what can only be described as the most elegant verbal dissection in recent television memory. He reminded the audience and Whoopi that truth is not a matter of emotional convenience. He laid out in clear, deliberate terms exactly why this wasn't just about a pardon. It was about trust, about fairness, about a sitting president telling the nation one thing and doing another behind closed doors. And Whoopi? She didn't have facts. She had feelings. She launched into a ramble about Biden being tired of people getting over on him. What? That's your defense? That Biden watched too many people break the rules, so he figured, hey, let me toss my son a pass while I'm at it. It was like watching someone trying to play chess with spaghetti noodles. There was no strategy, just squirming. And Maher? Oh, he saw it all. He didn't call her out with venom. He did something worse. He made her look foolish with facts. Quiet, calm, undeniable truth. That's the part that stings. That's the part the audience remembers. Because while Whoopi was twisting logic into something even a circus contortionist would call a stretch, Maher stayed in control. He exposed what the moment really revealed. The left doesn't want consistency. They want protection for their side. Because when it's Trump or a Republican, it's criminal corruption. But when it's Biden and Hunter, suddenly it's nuanced. Suddenly we don't know all the details. Suddenly Whoopi needs to stop you right there. It's hypocrisy served hot, and Maher wasn't letting them get away with it. So while Charlemagne stared in disbelief, while Whoopi tried to salvage her crumbling defense, and while the View's audience sat frozen in collective cringe, Bill Maher did what he always does best. He told the truth, and he did it so calmly, so unapologetically, that Whoopi was left spinning. Because when the facts are that sharp, you don't need to shout. And then, boom, Bill Maher didn't just strike a nerve, he detonated the entire woke nerve center. Right after Whoopi's tangled defense collapsed into a puddle of half-baked excuses and deflections, Maher leaned forward and delivered a line that will live in media history. You've completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit. Mic drop, silence. Even the cameras seemed to hesitate, as if they were asking, did he really just say that on live television? Oh yes, he did, and it hit hard. You could see it in the eyes of every person on that set. Joy Behar blinked like her Wi-Fi disconnected. Sunny Hostin looked like she had just been slapped with a cold fact sandwich. And Whoopi? Still frozen, mouth half open, expression locked somewhere between offended and off script. But Maher wasn't done, he was just getting started. He took aim, dead center, at the entire machinery of performative wokeness, the kind of faux morality that dominates cable news, Twitter threads, and of course, The View. He said what millions of Americans have been screaming at their screens for years. It's not about justice anymore. It's about signaling superiority, pretending you care when all you really want is to feel better than everyone else. And the Hunter Biden situation? That was Maher's nuclear fuel. He looked around and pointed out what nobody in the mainstream has the courage to say out loud. When Donald Trump's kids mess up, it's a 5-part CNN special. But when Hunter Biden's corruption stinks so bad it fogs up the Capitol dome, suddenly nobody remembers how microphones work.
Was it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
The hypocrisy? Blinding. The double standard? So obvious, even Stevie Wonder could spot it from space. And Maher wasn't talking about opinions. He was talking about reality. Cold, inconvenient, undeniable truth. The same truth that so many truth tellers conveniently forget the moment it doesn't suit their narrative. He asked the obvious. Where's the outrage now? Where are the Twitter storms? The angry monologues? The teary-eyed speeches about democracy? Nowhere. Because the guy in the spotlight this time is on their side. And this, right here, was the moment Maher flipped the entire narrative. He showed the audience in real time that the woke mob isn't about facts. It's not about fairness. It's about feelings. It's about control. It's about punishing the wrong people and protecting the right ones, even when the right ones are dead wrong. And while the View's panel scrambled to hide behind vague moral platitudes, Maher just kept slicing through the noise like a truth-wielding samurai. No yelling, no finger pointing, just brutal honesty served ice cold. He didn't flinch. He didn't fold. He exposed the entire machine. By the time he was done, the air in that studio was thick with embarrassment. The kind of secondhand cringe that makes even the at-home viewers instinctively reach for the remote, but not to change the channel. Oh no, they were glued. Because when someone finally says what everyone's thinking, you don't look away. You lean in, and in that moment, Bill Maher wasn't just a guest on The View, he was the voice of the audience. The viewers who've been fed up, talked down to, and gaslit for years.
Above any matters of politics or what's right or wrong, the one thing I know for sure about America is this. It's run by mean girls. Mean girls in the press and in politics and in life. And when they smell blood in the water, the lust to finish off a vulnerable person will never be denied.
And Whoopi? She just sat there. No rebuttal, no retort. Just the stunned silence of someone who finally realized that her house of cards just got hit with a Category 5 hurricane of truth. If segment 3 was Maher going nuclear, segment 4 was the fallout, and it hit everyone at the table. Because Bill Maher didn't just laser in on Whoopi. Oh no, he took out the whole table, one by one, thought by thought, lie by lie. It was like watching someone walk into a pride parade of self-congratulating pundits and pull the plug on the speaker system. Maher sat back casually and delivered the line that felt like a dagger to daytime TV's heart. You talk over guests, shut down dissent, and wrap it all in this smug little package of self-righteousness. Boom! The View's sacred echo chamber officially shattered. Let's break this down. Whoopi blinked. You could practically see the buffering icon spinning in her head, like a laptop running on Windows 95, trying to reboot but stuck on a fatal error. Joy Behar gulped. She tried to hold her composure, but that awkward sip from her oversized mug gave her away. She was rattled. Sunny Hostin? She shifted in her chair like she was about to raise her legal objections, then said nothing, because what could she say? Maher wasn't throwing opinions. He was dropping facts like anvils. And that line, that single sentence, it exposed everything. He didn't call them monsters. He didn't yell. He didn't insult them personally. He just peeled back the curtain on what The View has become. A group therapy session for elites who think their opinions are commandments and everyone else is too dumb to understand the world. He said without saying it, "You don't host discussions, you host lectures." And the audience? They saw it. You could feel the shift. Even the crowd, the same crowd that usually claps on cue, sat there, stunned, silent, processing, agreeing. Because Maher wasn't just talking about The View, he was talking about every show, every headline, every blue-check tweet that has come to define modern discourse. He put it in plain terms. You don't want dialogue, you want submission. And isn't that the truth? Think about how many times a guest has tried to speak on The View, only to get interrupted, mocked, or tossed to commercial mid-sentence. Think about how many conversations never go anywhere because the goal was never to explore, it was to score points. Maher wasn't having it. He called them out for treating opinions like ultimatums and opposing ideas like threats to national security. And then he said something that hit deeper than a roast, something that pulled back the mask with surgical precision. You're not fighting for truth, you're fighting to stay comfortable in your bubble. And suddenly the glossy smiles cracked. Because that was the real burn. The View has branded itself as brave, diverse, challenging, but when the conversation actually gets uncomfortable, they shut it down, talk over it, drown it in sarcasm and moral superiority. Until someone like Maher walks in and, without raising his voice, flips every single one of their narratives upside down. And when that happens, there are no comebacks, no rehearsed talking points that can save the day. Just the awkward silence of a studio audience realizing they've been watching performance art masquerading as political commentary. Maher didn't just challenge The View, he revealed it. Hey, this has gone too far. That's what made it hit so hard. Because this wasn't political, it was human. It was reality. It was a man staring into the soulless void of televised virtue signaling and shattering it with a mirror of honesty. By the end of the day, media outlets that usually ignore Maher were suddenly scrambling for headlines. Even journalists who once labeled him problematic admitted, okay, that one, he nailed it. And The View radio silence. No follow-up, no response, not even a sarcastic tweet from Joy. Because when someone walks into your echo chamber and flips the lights on, there's not much left to say. So now it's your turn. Was this the moment we've all been waiting for? Did Bill Maher finally say what the majority of Americans have been silently screaming for years? And is this, finally, the beginning of the end for performative woke politics? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to read every hot take, every clapback, every finally someone said it moment. And if you're nodding along right now, then you already know what to do. Smash that like button to support unfiltered truth. Subscribe for weekly takedowns, media reality checks, and cultural mic drops. Share this video with someone who still thinks The View is a news show. Because if Bill Maher can walk into their house, take their script, rip it in half, and leave without raising his voice, then maybe, just maybe, the tide is finally turning. See you in the next one. Stay tuned. It's only just begun.